we see a man climbing into a cave. As he looks around, he realizes this cave has Norse symbols carved on its walls. Then, he approaches a box with Norse runes carved on it. He opens the box and discovers the hammer of the Norse god Thor. He raises it up, and lightning fills the air. Now, let's go back to how this movie began. The movie begins as we see Erik Bergland, an American Norwegian who has no purpose in his life and is wandering around the woods of Norway with his wounded leg. After a long journey, he decides to build a tent in the middle of the forest and rest there for a night. That night, while sleeping, Erik suddenly becomes emotionally unstable, and somehow the trees outside the tent start burning. In the morning, every tree around him has been burnt down, but Erik and his tent remain unharmed. However, the burn wound on his leg is getting worse, and he decides to head over to the nearby town. Upon arrival, he goes into a clinic and steals several things to heal his wound. While treating it, he realizes that he looks awful. So, he trims his hair and transforms into a much better-looking guy. On his way to nowhere, 3 troublemaker teens with their dad's Mercedes spot him and attempt to talk to him, but Erik ignores them. One of them, Ole, becomes unhappy and starts harassing the homeless man. Erik warns Ole not to touch him again or he will be burned, but the cocky teen ignores the warning and grabs his jacket. Suddenly, Ole collapses and dies instantly without Erik even touching him. Erik runs off, but is later arrested by the local police for murder. The next day, while he awaits extradition back to the United States, the local police chief, Henrik, brings in a psychologist named Christine, hoping she can make Erik talk. Henrik tells her that Erik is also a suspect in an unsolved fire incident at a farm that killed 5 people 3 years ago. At first, Erik, sitting in the corner of the interrogation room, refuses to talk. Somehow, Christine manages to convince him to sit at the table, where she calms him down, telling him that it wasn't his fault and that bad things happen. To gain Erik's trust, she suggests to Henrik, who is watching from another room, to remove his handcuffs. A few moments later, Ole's parents arrive at the station. His father, Bjorn, insists on seeing the murderer, but Henrik refuses. After that, Erik finally admits that he killed the people at the farm, who turn out to be his relatives. As they speak, he demonstrates his powers by pulling water up from a glass. Christine is confused and asks for an explanation, but Erik also doesn't understand how it happens. He then burns the table just by using his hand. Suddenly, Erik becomes emotional again and starts burning the entire interrogation room. Christine realizes that his emotions control his powers, so she quickly approaches him and helps him focus. Eventually, Erik manages to calm down and stop the chaos. Not long after, a U.S. Embassy officer named Hathaway arrives to take Erik back to America. He refuses to talk to anyone except Christine. She warns them not to transport him by helicopter because it's too dangerous, but they ignore her and sedate Erik to keep him unconscious during the flight. Mid-flight, Erik suddenly wakes up and panics after realizing he is tied up. The doctor cannot give him another dose because it could kill him. In his panic, Erik creates a thunderstorm, causing the helicopter to lose power and crash into the sea. He then discovers he can breathe underwater and uses his power to burn through his seatbelt. He manages to save Hathaway before escaping. A search and rescue team later finds 3 dead bodies in the wreckage. Meanwhile, Christine sees the news about the crash and rushes to the scene. Shortly after, Erik appears at her house, and she takes him to a friend's cabin in the forest. There, he reveals that he got his powers at the farm and that the fire incident was caused when he burst into flames. At the hospital, Hathaway shows Henrik proof that Erik can control the weather and cause the crash. Because of this, they begin an urgent search for him. The next day, Christine's friend calls her, warning that she is hiding a criminal and urging her to turn Erik in. After Erik wakes up, Christine explains everything and apologizes. Before leaving, she hugs him and realizes she has feelings for him. She changes her mind and decides to help him uncover the origin of his powers by returning to the farm. They continue their journey, but Christine throws her phone into the water to avoid being tracked. At a gas station, She learns that Eric is now wanted for the helicopter crash. On the road, Eric explains that he sometimes sees a massive tree stretching across the horizon, like another world. Later, while overtaking a truck, Christine nearly causes a collision. This triggers Eric, who releases a thunderbolt that destroys their car, but somehow leaves Christine unharmed. After the crash, a truck driver offers them a ride. Meanwhile, the police set up a roadblock at a bridge. The driver realizes who Eric is and stops the truck. With no other option, Eric surrenders. As police aim their guns at him, Christine begs them to stand down, but they arrest her instead. Eric loses control, and a massive thunderstorm forms. Lightning strikes everywhere as he screams in agony. Christine approaches him again, helping him calm down. He creates a lightning barrier before collapsing. Henrik rushes both of them to the hospital. The incident goes viral, and many people begin to believe Eric is a god. Some even claim he is Thor. At the hospital, Eric's condition worsens. During an MRI scan, he loses control and destroys the machine, causing a blackout. Meanwhile, a boy goes into cardiac arrest. Eric rushes to the ICU, even after being shot by Bjorn, and uses his powers to revive the boy. From that moment, people begin to worship him. They eventually return to the farm. Henrik gives Christine a book on Norse mythology, explaining that Thor's children may have once lived at that particular farm after Ragnarok. At the site, they discover a hidden cave filled with ancient runestones and carvings of Yggdrasil, the tree Eric has been seeing. Inside, Eric finds Thor's artifacts, his glove, belt, and hammer, Mjolnir. When he picks them up, a thunderbolt strikes, but this time, the hammer absorbs the energy. As Eric emerges, Christine runs toward him, but suddenly a sniper shot hits her, killing her instantly. Enraged, Eric tries to revive her, but fails. Overcome with grief, he unleashes a massive storm, destroying everything around the farm. In the end, a reporter states that the storm caused massive casualties, and Eric mysteriously disappears. I know you hear this all the time, but please subscribe to my channel. If you did, then thank you.